Hello, Loving Without Boundaries community. I am so excited to be here with these two rock stars, Tonya and Zack, who I've had the pleasure of getting to know. Wow, I was looking back. I think you originally reached out in September of last year. So yeah, so it's been a hot minute and we've gotten to know each other, and just really want to honor you both taking time out of your busy lives to share your amazing success story with everyone here in our group. So thank you for being here today and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love it if, just in your own words, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourselves for our any lovely listeners or viewers of our interview.
I'll let you start.
Okay. We've well, Tonya and Zack, we've been together going on 11 and a half years now, and not too soon before we reached out to you, we decided to open our marriage, and it was an interesting journey, but we've our entire journey together has just been one adventure after another. So what's one more adventure, and growing and learning something new.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to say something, I'd say, we've definitely had a journey, and we have two children. We live in South Carolina. Just a little bit about us. We really kind of love just being open and kind of taking whatever is next for us. So looking at whatever's next for us and taking those next steps together. And we've always been just an awesome team. So,
and not afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's amazing. Well, anyone who's in this community, I definitely think of as being really courageous and willing to go out on a limb like the two of you. But not everyone's willing to do the work, of personal growth and really dive in there. So I so honor both of your journey. And maybe for anyone who's curious, how long have you both been together and how long married?
We have been together for almost 12 years, going on 12 years, and then married for just over 6.
Just over 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you decided to open up your marriage, that was last year, is that right?
Yeah, it was I think it's been probably about a year and a half or so since we decided that we wanted to explore that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So I'd love to just help people understand a little bit more of your journey, how we ended up finding each other. And so, and this will help so many people. And I just applaud you taking the time to do this, because a lot of times people don't realize that there are avenues that they can go down if they are struggling. So I'd love to start there in terms of, I think it was you, Zack, who originally reached out to me. I'd love to understand a little bit about where you were, Zack, and the two of you as a couple when you reached out to me. Like, what were some of the struggles and what were some of the challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. I know where I was at that point. I was definitely struggling. Just growing up and knowing nothing but monogamy. I had no idea there was other options, and when we discussed that, we were both game to give it our all, but I had no idea how much I was going to struggle with jealousy and underlying possessiveness, and just there was a lot that came up. And I reached out to the Facebook group and was just trying to get some advice and talk to some people in the same situation, and then when I saw that you had courses, I had talked to other therapists in the past, and actually the one that I was seeing just before we signed on to your course, I ended up firing her because I felt like all she wanted to talk about, she just wanted to ask me questions about poly and not actually dive into anything that I needed to figure out. And not only that, but most therapists that I've ever seen really just want to talk about the issue. They don't really give you the tools that you need in order to grow away from the hard, not the hard stuff, because there's always hard stuff, but just grow in your journey in general. And yeah, we got those tools with your course for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Thank you for so vulnerably sharing that. And that's definitely not the first time I've heard that, in terms of sometimes different therapists or counselors, or anyone really, they may not either be practicing some form of consensual non-monogamy, or they may not be well versed in that. So I have heard that before, unfortunately, that sometimes those first several sessions can be where the client is really doing the emotional labor to almost train the professional, which can be super discouraging.
Especially when I'm paying a lot of money to train them.
Yeah, exactly. So I honor that you were doing what you could. You were reaching out for help, and instead of getting the help, it sounds like it was probably even kind of exhausting. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just kind of disappointing. And to be honest, I didn't even know that there were like consensual non-monogamous like coaches or therapy, anyone who was defined in that, until I started looking online and finding the groups and stuff like that. I never would have thought that was even an option. So,
well, I'm so glad. Oh, sorry. Say that again, Zach.
I'm glad I found out.
Yeah, I'm glad you found out too. And I love just the tenacity that you displayed, like, hey, just realizing it takes guts, right? Sometimes to raise your hand and say, holy Hannah, I need some help. I don't know where to find it, but I'm going to start looking, so I'm so glad that you found our group here, which just keeps continuing to grow, which is amazing. And that you got the help that you needed. How about for you, Tonya? What were some of the struggles that you were having when you two first originally reached out?
I think that we were both just struggling navigating. And it's interesting, and I'm sure a lot of couples go through this once you decide, I want to explore more. I want to do something different and new, and something that you're inspired by. For me, at least, I'm the kind of person that's like, let's jump in the pool, and Zach's more of a dip his toes in. So I have to honor him a lot for reaching out for tools, because I was like, let's do this, not really realizing really the tools and the skills in general, just being human, that I was missing, to be honest. So I think once you jump into it, you kind of face this whirlwind of things. And I've heard a lot of people say this in the group, and it's very true. Like, deciding to be open will expose all of the things that you need to look at, and all of the unhealthy things that you need to heal. And so we were there, and I was struggling with shame. I think we were both struggling with our own internal old habits that, we were lost for how to navigate this in a healthy way. And we didn't want to, cause harm. We wanted to more intentional, where we could actually do it in the best way possible, I guess.
Yeah, and that's an amazing thing as well, to really see that you needed to do that and start to take the steps to do that, because not everybody does. And sometimes not everybody does, like Zach was saying, like they just don't even know there is tools, or there is, open relationship school or polyamory school that they can go to, as well as somebody who's been in the trenches. As you've come to know me, I've been at every stage of the journey. I've been the cheater. I've tried monogamy. It didn't work. I was the swinger, and now I identify as polyamorous. And so part of this is finding somebody that you trust, that you jive with, because people might have different people that they resonate with, and as you said, jumping in the pool to get what you need. And so much of this journey too is, instead of, as Zach was talking about earlier with therapy, instead of causing you to become like dependent, like instead of giving you the fish, we're doing this work together. So I'm teaching you how to fish, so you're getting those tools to learn how to move on and help yourselves as well, while I'm guiding you through that. So, and you both have grown so much, and it's been such a pleasure to watch. Knowing what you know now, what would you say might have been one of the, or many of the underlying issues that you may have seen that you didn't even know were there until you started to kind of dive in a little bit deeper?
I would say probably the main thing for both of us is insecurity, I'd say. And then there were just a lot of kind of barriers or walls that we had put up over time, even from dealing with things from childhood. There were these habits and these barriers and these insecurities that we had built up over time. And we had, of course, always found refuge in each other, and we always had a solid relationship. But those were things that, we had to get past in order to be healthier. So those were the main things for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Same. Like she said, like we had a solid relationship. Like we thought we had a solid relationship before that, and we had no idea how much further we could go in it. Like it's tenfold what it was, and it's we still grow every day together and individually. So yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probably the main thing for me too.
Mm-hmm. And again, thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably, because that can be very common. I hear that a lot about the trying to figure out how to maneuver through shame and let go of that, and figure out where do some of the insecurities come from that may create some of the jealous feelings. And also, yes, sometimes people have come to do this work and they do have trauma from their childhood, but other things that they tried hadn't really helped them truly move past that. So it can be, it takes, again, a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to kind of face those demons. And that's partly why we're doing this interview right now, because you both did that. So I know that you said that you tried therapy before coming to do this, this program. What, either feel free to tell me just a little bit more about that, or anything else that maybe you both had tried before you reached out.
I say just looking over the past in general, like, I think, and a lot of people would be like, I've heard a lot of people ask this in the group is, well, if it was so stressful and, it made you so insecure, why do you keep doing it? Like, why did you keep trying? And, but when I look over, I've always had this craving for more connection, and you just can't get the things that you want without, being forced to look at the things that you really need to heal. And just looking over my life, in terms of not poly, I have been to therapists, and I think that was needed and helpful to, sort out some of my past and kind of gain understanding. But then you just kind of stop there. You're like, well, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, I've always wanted somebody to tell me, how do I do this? I've never been taught these skills. I need these skills. I didn't even know what the skills were. I just knew, there were things that needed to be addressed. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was a little skepticism because of that. But I think more than anything, we were just really eager to try something new and to get through this in a way where it didn't feel like an emotional roller coaster all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful way that you express that too. And before we started recording, I was so honoring you both, because not only are you paying it forward here by giving your time doing this interview, but I see you both paying it forward in the group. Like when people are posting that they're struggling, whether it's about jealousy or sex negativity or anything, I see both of you just jumping in there and being so supportive, because one of the things the work is about, like, learning how to kind of live from a fully resourced cup. And then from that overflowing place, that's where you can build more confidence and more security as you're able to lend a helping hand to other people. So it's beautiful to watch you both do that. And I really honor that. And so, Zack, since you first reached out to me, how did you first learn about our community here? Was it just some searches on Facebook, or how did you first find about us?
Yeah, really, it was just searching online and trying to find any resources that I could. And then I found your Facebook group, and I think one other that I was probably a member of for all of about 10 minutes once I joined yours. But just reading everyone's stories and talking to people, and just feeling like I finally had some, people that I could talk to and have that support group. Was so necessary for me in that moment. I struggled a lot with it, and I felt alone in the sense that, like, because we hadn't opened up publicly yet. So like I couldn't talk to anyone about it. And just being able to find that was really amazing. Very, very helpful. And then I'm pretty sure I just probably watched some of your podcasts on there, and
I think it was a master class.
Something
we
like
had listened to one of your podcasts, and we were like, "Ooh, I really like this lady."
in the course, and we're like, well, shit, we need to look into that, because what we were trying before was helpful, but not as helpful as we needed it to be. So
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing, is a lot of times when people reach out, they may be kind of like dabbling at solutions and making a little bit of headway, but maybe falling back into those old habits, because it's so seductive to fall back into whatever those old habits are that aren't serving you. And that's what's so powerful about having a community around you. And then we start cheering each other on and celebrating each other's wins. And because we're all going to have those wobbles, or those shitty first drafts, as we talk about, those scary stories we tell ourselves. But yeah, to really kind of wrap our arms around each other, and remind you of the greatness that you both have. So really, just I'm so glad that you reached out, and also that you felt that kind of warmth and that love as soon as you joined this community. Because when I created this original community, it was back in 2015. I had no idea I was going to be creating this coaching program at that time. I was just trying to help people find a place where they felt safe, where they didn't feel so alone. And it's beautiful to just watch it grow beyond that, again, even leading up to today and having this interview with the two of you. So, but we still have those moments where we have our doubts. So when you did first join, was there moments where you felt skeptical? Is this going to work for me? Or what the heck did we just do? Did we just join a cult? Did you have any of those ideas?
Like I don't think that I was skeptical about the training at all. I was just ready to grasp onto anything that would help me through figuring out all the emotions that I had flying around, and just all of the scary shit that was just eating me alive at that point. So, I definitely have been the one back and forth through the journey, especially in the beginning, skeptical just about all of it, and like, well, I don't know if this is for me. Well, maybe it is. I kind of like it. I don't know. But I was dealing with so much that, and Tonya was always here to remind me, like, look, like, there's no rush. Like, you don't need to know right now. Just take the time, work on yourself. Because I had a lot to figure out. And so, I mean, I think that was where my main skepticism came from, but definitely not from the training in itself.
Yeah, I mean, like, pull out skepticism like that. I think that as you go through the bumps along the road, you're like, ooh, I can't do this. This is a lot. You kind of just like, you're so vulnerable that you kind of just rip everything off and you bear all. And sometimes those moments are really overwhelming. And I think that if I really had to give anybody ever advice, I would just say that, you're not perfect and that you have to have quite a few breakdowns to have breakthroughs, as you say, and just to give yourself and each other grace, because I think coming out of the other side, that's what I appreciate the most between both of us, is how much grace we give each other and how much grace we give ourselves in this.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something that we start talking about right out of the gate on your very first call, because I think it's so important, because we learn in society to beat ourselves up and to constantly be looking for what's wrong, what's wrong today, where did I mess up yesterday? And so much of this work is retraining our brain, especially when we're doing something that can be very scary and intimidating, such as coloring outside of the lines of traditional heteronormative monogamy. So, so important to be able to honor that. So once you did, and you two really dove in with both feet, and I really want to highlight that for anyone who's listening or watching as well, is it doesn't fix itself, right? It's really a co-creation, and it's important to really show up and do the work. And you two did that in spades, whether it was the scary work or the hard work, through the tears, through the laughter, because that's important too, is to have some fun along the way too, and have that sense of playfulness and curiosity, which is something I definitely want to touch on as we're talking too. But in those first few weeks when you really dove in, can you go back in that moment and talk about any of those like immediate or amazing results that you saw early on?
Yes, I made some notes on this.
So well prepared.
Yeah. So I think like in the beginning, like we started to develop a better sense of self, right? Like this really was a slap in the face for us. It's like, whoa, I have my own shit to work on, right? It's like Polly gave us that opportunity. And so I think we both started to develop a better sense of self and our values separately. Like when you're attached for so long and you're married for so long, you kind of just, your identity almost becomes the relationship, which obviously we learned is very unhealthy. And, that codependence was so there. And I think, from the beginning, when I look back, I can see that we started to develop our own identity instead of hiding behind the security of the relationship. Right. And really start to look at ourselves and the things that were uncomfortable or hard in ourselves and in the relationship. So,
yeah, I think some of the most immediate stuff that I noticed was just the change in communication as well. It was very gradual, and it definitely took some time, but just even seeing any change at all in it, and like the fact that we could actually sit and have really good conversation. We were learning more about each other, and it was there was a lot of benefits right up front, and it was still very difficult, and we had our wobbles throughout it, but just knowing that there was hope, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and I always loved anytime I saw you on the calls, whenever you were asking a question or doing celebrating. It was such a pleasure because you added so much to our community going through the program as well. So I just thought, what amazing thing are they going to say now? I just can't wait. And just seeing how deep you would go and how vulnerable you would be, and also sometimes how just creative and funny you both were too. You inspired me absolutely as well, just seeing how you would take something that I might teach, and then you would like take it to another stratosphere level that I never even would have come up with. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That is so cool. What did you do again? You sat on the bathroom floor for hours and did what? It was just so inspiring, and so that's why I love you being here and just in our broader community, but also you're getting some love in the comments from people that went through the program with you, just saying that they love being in community with you and gained so much from their time together, that they were alongside you while we were doing this work together. So really honor that. As well as you would also be so vulnerable and sharing if you did have some like massive wobble, even after weeks of doing all this work, and you would just show up on the next call and be like, here's what happened. It was a mess. We were a big puddle, and
we're a mess again.
Yeah, we're a mess again. Yeah. And then, here's how we got out of it. We took some of what we learned, and then we like stacked on top of it. And then we came up with this like totally new game we just made up with our own, just so incredible. And I'd love to, now that you've been through the program, you got, that beautiful foundation and the training wheels that, again, you stacked on top of. I'd love it if you'd share with anyone who's watching a little bit more of where you are now. That's maybe quite different from where you started out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, so like there's this video in the training, and it's from the author who wrote Polysecure, and she's talking about insecure attachment. And we remember very vividly this part in the video where she said, when you do this, when you go from monogamy to an open relationship, your old dynamic's going to die and you have to create a whole new one. And I remember we were like terrified. We were like, what do you mean die? We don't want it to die.
Yeah.
But I think I'm starting to understand what she means by that, because I can see our dynamic changing into a very much more healthy, secure, not codependent, but interdependent, very healthily attached dynamic, where we respect each other's space. We have good boundaries. We know what's owned by ourselves and what's owned by our partner. And all the things that you've given us and all the tools that you've given us for that foundation have allowed us to go deeper. I mean, I don't think that we even really realized that in our relationship we had only scratched the surface, because for us, I think monogamy did make us hide behind a lot of walls. I don't think that we had realized that we had only scratched the surface. And so I would have never known how deep our connection could be. I mean, it's way deeper now. I mean, we still learn new things about each other, which is just wild. I mean, you spend 10 years with somebody and you think, you know, this is all there is. And the fact that we can break down those walls still, and we can, I mean, still have a blast together. We spend all our time together. We don't, you know, and we don't, it doesn't bother us. We don't get bored of each other. And so the fact that we can almost fall in love with each other over and over again because of those healthy skills that we've developed, at least that's for me, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, everything she said.
That's amazing. And maybe for anyone who's watching, if this helps them, maybe do you mind sharing just a little bit about, like, do you each have other partners right now, or what does that look like? And also, I'd love to ask for anyone who's parents, how has doing this work helped you in your parenting?
I'll take the parenting one.
Okay, you can take it.
Yeah, I'll take the parenting one.
So neither of us have any partners right now. We do have a couple people that we have been talking to that could potentially go that way, that we've been connecting with for some time now. We're actually leaving tomorrow morning to go out to Ohio to meet both of them. They actually both live out there. So
yeah,
we'll be out there for a few days to meet them and see how we vibe.
That's exciting. Very cool.
Long road trip too. And that's her favorite, is road trips. So,
and I will say that one of them, Zack, met in the community. So they just had like supported each other over a long period of time. And then, you know, it was like, hey, we should probably meet one day. And then I just ended up talking to this guy. I'm like, whoa, you're in Ohio? Like, I'm going there.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, we love how everything like manifests together and it starts fitting. And you're like, ooh, this looks really cool. So yeah, that's perfect now. Yeah.
That's very exciting. Well, I wish you a safe road trip. I love how, you know, the world is finally opening up again, and we can even say that. And we're going to go on a road trip and meet people. Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
In terms of parenting, wow. I think, so I had always been that person that tried, you know, we've taken our kids to therapy over the years, to art therapy. We've done therapy where we train and the kids train at the same time. And we've learned great skills. We really have. But I think as your kids get older and, you know, they're kind of in a world that's adept of all these human skills, right? I mean, that's why we didn't know what we were doing, is that we want to teach it to them. So I'd actually started doing this before we joined into the program, but the way that you taught us actually allowed us to refine it with our kids. So in the morning, we drive to school and we talk about gratitude, and we talk about, you know, what are we going to do to make today great? And we do positive affirmations, and everybody does it. Everybody gets on their soapbox and does it and takes a turn in the car. And we do that every morning. And our kids really love it. And I can tell that it's changed their lives. And beyond that, I think that we've just really, our energy has changed from all of our experience in this to a point where we can have any uncomfortable conversation with our children and allow it to be valuable to them, and where they feel safe and vulnerable. You know, we have a teenager now who's going through all kinds of social and, you know, hormonal stuff. And we've had really amazing conversations with him because we've learned how to communicate so much better. And we can kind of pass that on to them. That's what I have to say. I don't know if you have any input on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think the most beneficial so far has just been the ability to communicate with them on a completely different level, just like we do with each other, and in every aspect of our lives. the course didn't just help us with our relationship. Like, it really just helped us as people. We can utilize the tools that we got in every aspect, and in work relationships and friendships and as parents, just everything. And I mean, it's crazy to see how much of a difference it makes, just in them, in the kids, even, where they're more willing to talk to us about stuff now, and like have those uncomfortable conversations, and we'll have breakdowns and breakthroughs, and
yeah. Oh, in fact, so sorry to cut you off. I just thought we had, so our son is in Colorado for the summer, our teenager. And before he went off for his summer vacation, he was struggling with some things, and we had this long conversation. There were tears. It's a good conversation. Well, the next morning when we did our gratitude, he said, "I am grateful for uncomfortable conversations." And Zack and I were like, "Yes,
winning! That feels like winning." Yeah.
It was amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah, that's like textbook from what we talk about in the work that we do together. So that's that is awesome. Yeah, and to me that also just shows that ripple effect. The ripple effect from me to the community to you, and then to your children, and then to their children. It's amazing. So so exciting. One question that I just thought of to ask now is, sometimes people wonder, in that kind of, my joining a cult idea, they wonder, is this a place where I'm going to be pressured to become polyamorous? Like, what if there's a couple where one person is a little bit more on the monogamous side of things and the other person is a little bit more on the open or polyamorous side of the things? Do you think moving through a program like this would be beneficial for that type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beneficial for anybody, no matter. I mean,
even if you're just
monogamous,
honestly,
anything. Because I mean, that was our dynamic. Like, I was much more leaning monogamous in the beginning, and she identifies as poly, and I am just, I've always just been more curious about it. Like, I don't identify. So there's always been, a little bit of a different dynamic in that way, where we're learning about each other and what we're okay with and stuff. So I think it helped immensely, and I really don't think it matters what you identify as or what you want. All of the tools are beneficial.
I think that if you go through the program and you utilize the skills enough to really strengthen your relationship, at the end of the day, it's not going to matter whether you're monogamy or poly, or you're an alien. Because you have, honestly, you rely, that connection is reliable, and no matter what happens, we're going to be open, we're going to honor each other, we're going to give each other grace, and we're going to ride through this with the skills that we have to keep this connection the way it is, and this relationship that's super valuable. So I think when we refer to that as like, we're home for each other, right? Whatever happens, when we get home, that we're home, right? So I really think that if you use the skills to focus on your connection, whatever connections are outside of it aren't going to matter, because that's special to you. So I hear that a lot in the group, and I think that people really struggle with that. My advice would be, just be open and let each other learn and give each other grace. And whoever they end up being, you already love them. You're going to love them, and you're going to find a way to support each other. So
beautiful. So well said. And I really, again, just want to honor the gift that you're giving so many people, especially highlighting that the skills that you're learning are great for any relationship, whether it's monogamous, whether it's polyamorous, whether it's romantic, whether it's with your children or a business relationship. I've seen people use these different types of communication skills with a business partner to work through conflict. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because again, you are giving people so much hope and inspiration. So I really honor that. My last question would just be: would you recommend going through this coaching program, the Creating Healthy and Happy Open Relationship Program, to somebody in this group who might be struggling?
No, not at all. Absolutely. We have recommended it to a lot of people already, and speaking for myself at least, like I will continue doing so.
I mean, I recommended it to even some of my monogamous friends. I'm like, hey guys, like you can ignore all the poly stuff. It's still really cool.
Yeah, and partly the way I like to talk about it is helping people live their most authentic life. So even whether that's if you're coloring outside of the lines of any sort of, whether it's your sexuality or heteronormative monogamy, whatever it is. I just spoke to somebody the other day who identifies as asexual. Just learning how to step into being you. One of the quotes I always love is, before you can be unapologetically joyful, you got to be unapologetically you. And there can be so much shame wrapped around kind of admitting who you are. Or also somebody who identifies as maybe kinky or wanting to be in the BDSM scene, and just how to navigate that. So thank you again for sharing your story. You're getting lots of love in the comments that you can have some fun reading later.
See who was saying them.
Yeah, exactly. You will when you look in the group later. Some people that and probably some people that you don't know, but they're just saying, thank you for the vulnerable sharing and being an inspiration and being leaders in the community, because really you are leaders in the community. Yes. And thank you for paying it forward by being here and by recommending it to people that you do see struggling, because at the end of the day, we can struggle for a long time and watch it get worse, or we can possibly work with somebody who's already been in the trenches and shorten that time, and also have fun learning alongside other amazing people such as yourselves.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, I love that. And partly because you help make it fun. And I want to really honor that too. So for anybody who is watching, I just want to say, if you are struggling, whether it's with jealousy or insecurity, or trying to be sex positive in a sex negative world, or trying to just live your most authentic life, whatever that looks like. And anywhere along that spectrum that we were talking about, from maybe monogamous or curious all the way up to polyamorous, if you are struggling, know that help is out there. And I'd be delighted to speak with you. So it all starts just with a conversation, which is exactly how Zack and Tonya started. They just booked a call with me, and I have that up on the screen now. So you can just go to lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. And we just simply have about a 45 or 60-minute conversation. We talk about where are your biggest challenges, where you ideally want to be. And once I get a sense of where you are, I'll see if I think we're a fit to work together. And if I can help you, we can talk about what that looks like. And if for some reason we're not a fit, that is totally okay. I have a very big Rolodex from all the different podcasts and people that are in my amazing community and circle. And I will be happy to steer you where I think you might be able to get the support that you need, because I want you to find the right mentor, the right coach, the right counselor or therapist that is going to help you, because I don't want to see you suffer any more than you need to. So again, if you do need help, feel free to go to lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. There are some beautiful testimonials from incredible folks like Tonya and Zack there on the website. You'll see some different videos. There's podcasts, lots of resources for you to check out. So again, Tonya and Zack, just want to say again, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for living your most authentic life, for saying yes to being you, and for doing this work. So anything else you'd like to share with anyone in our community before we sign off?
No, it's a pleasure to share. We're always willing, and thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Love you guys. Good vibes.
All good vibes.
Yay. Thank you so much, you two.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.